Hey everyone, I'm Matt, and you are watching the Comic Book Guy channel. And today we're doing another little video that we like to do every now and then. We're not sure how much you guys like them, but we like doing them. And what it is we talk about the latest books that we found in the last, the most recent past that we've, found at comic shops and little small cons and things like that over the past, month or so. Nothing crazy expensive or value, although sometimes that does happen. But these are nice little gems that we find that we like to talk about. So we're going to start it off with a nice little find I've made of Sin City. This isn't the only book I found. I actually came across the entire run of Sin City books at a small comic shop, and the guy had just gotten them in, and I bought them all anywhere between $5 to $10 each. They're in just, immaculate condition. They look fantastic. But I was able to get like almost all of them because I have all of them. I think the only series I have originally was the A Dame to Kill For, and the rest I have in trades. But I was able to find all these, and I got them for a real bargain, I thought. And they look great. And this is all written and drawn by Frank Miller. The first story was in Dark Horse Presents. It was Dark Horse Presents the 5th anniversary special. And then the first storyline was in Dark Horse Presents issues 51 through 62. And they later made that into like an series called The Hard Goodbye is the storyline. And the other ones are, of course, A Dame to Kill For, The Big Fat Kill, and of course, That Yellow Bastard, which I have here. And I brought that one to represent the run because that's my favorite storyline. And what they would do is it's all black and white with splashes of color. And this one is yellow. So that's really fun. And then Family Values, Booze, Broads, and Bullets, Hell and Back. And these were all like $5 to $10 each for me at this comic shop. And I love them. They look great. They're a real fun read. If you haven't read these, you absolutely need to. And it even spawned a couple of movies out of them. And the movies are really good. I really enjoy both the Sin City movies. If you haven't read the series, read it. And if you haven't seen the movies, go see the movies. All right, guys, next up, I have the classic cover, Wolverine number 8 by John Buscema. This is from the Wolverine series, Chris Claremont writing and John Buscema artwork. And I am a rabid fan for John Buscema artwork. The guy is amazing. But this was actually the second issue of a 2-part story in the Wolverine series. But that first cover wasn't as awesome as this. This is just classic. This is Patch and Joe Fixit on the cover in their white tuxedo jackets, very cool, classic cover. And this is from 1989. And what happens is Wolverine's disguised himself as Patch living in Madripoor. And Joe Fixit is like a mob enforcer at this point with his Joe Fixit personality, which is, still my favorite version of Hulk. I love Joe Fixit. And he's sent there to solve some problems, for some crime boss. And of course, Patch he tricks him into, basically breaking up this big drug ring and human trafficking ring or sex slave ring, something like that. And he tricks him into like destroying these operations. I found this in a comic shop. This was $60. And I thought that was a pretty good deal because it's in really good condition. And these things go for hundreds of dollars in the higher grades. So I thought $60, that's definitely a good price for me. I actually had my budget for this was $100. So I checked it out. The guy had it up on the wall behind the register. I asked to see it. I checked it out. It looks really, really good. I snagged it for $60. That was a great price. All right, and this is going to be X-Men number 193. This is they're calling it a 100th anniversary issue because, this is it's been 100 issues since X-Men 93. And then, 94 is the start of the new team. But this is actually a key book, not because it's the 100th anniversary issue, but because this is the first appearance of Firestar. I don't know if any of you remember, but Firestar was originally a cartoon character in the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon. It was Spidey, Iceman, and Firestar. She hadn't appeared in the comics yet. She was in that cartoon first. So this is her first comic appearance. It is a key issue, but it's not particularly expensive. I bought this as part of a bundle at a small one-day comic show we had locally. And the guy had a bunch of old, X-Men, like the Romita Claremont run, which I've been trying to fill in. Because I'd had that years ago, but I got rid of it. And now I'm trying to build it back up. And it's pretty easy to knock out because not a lot of these are very expensive. So I bought, a dozen or so books from the same guy, and I ended up paying $5 each for them. And as you can see, it's in great condition. This looks really well. I actually already have this, but it's a signed book. So it's graded and signed by John Romita Jr., so it's encased. But I like to have a physical copy that I can look at and I can read, I can reread, because it's a cool story, cool artwork. And yeah, like I said, there she is. That's Firestar. That's her first comic book appearance. And you can find these for, relatively, not a lot of money being a key issue, like maybe $100, $75 around there. That's a pretty good bargain for a mutant character that's been around for quite a while, and she's currently around. So yeah, and she's a likable character. Real nice, Firestar. But yeah, this is a nice little pickup I made. It was $5. So yeah, you can find one too. All right, my next book is going to be Dark Patterns #1. What happened was Dark Patterns came out, and I was behind the curve on that one. So I didn't jump on it until issue 5. But anybody that's read it will tell you that these stories are in 3-issue story arcs. So there's 4 stories total, and there are 3 issues each. But it's the same writer and artist team. It's Dan Waters and Hayden Sherman are writing this. This book it came out last year, so it's a pretty recent book. But yeah, I was behind the gun on this one, so I had to hunt down the other issues. I bought this was a variant cover of the first issue, and honestly, that's the only one I could find for not a crazy price. This was $20, and the others were like $5-6 for issues 2, 3, and 4, and the rest I just paid cover price because by that point I was ordering from my subscription service. But yeah, these stories are really good. This is some good Batman stuff right here. The artwork is really reminiscent of, I want to say, like a Darwin Cook kind of feel to it. It has that vibe to it, that retro Darwin Cook kind of look, which I really enjoy. The stories are really good. I thought the first villain, the villain in the first story arc was a little hokey. It didn't make a lot of sense to me because he's called the Wound Man. And he has purposely, you know what? I don't know to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it. Anybody that has read it knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, the stories are really good. The artwork is really good. It's really, a nice tone that matches the stories really well. This is Batman early on in his career, in Gotham and stuff. I don't want to say it's like year 2 or anything like that. It's just early in his career. They're not really specific about that. But definitely pick this up. This is a really good series. Really cool, 3-issue stories. There are 4 of them throughout the series. And I'm sure you've heard people talking about this. This is a really good series. I highly recommend picking this up. It's a fun read. All right, next up is Adventure into Fear #19. And this is a key issue because it's the first appearance of Howard the Duck. Yes, Howard the Duck first appears in this issue in a Man-Thing book. Because, it kind of makes sense because he lives in the nexus of realities kind of thing going on there. It's all wizard and mysticism and all this stuff. Really cool story. These stories early on were super bizarre and wonky. But actually, this series is interesting because it was started off as just Fear. That was the title, was just Fear. And the first 9 issues of this series were just all reprints of old horror comics. That's all it was just reprints. So if you want to collect this series, I wouldn't bother with the first 9. Just start with number 10. Because number 10, it becomes Adventure into Fear with Man-Thing in issue 10. That's when it kicks off. And then there's issue 20. And then in 21, it becomes Adventure into Fear. The name is super long. Adventure into Fear with the man called Morbius, the Living Vampire. So not exactly a title that rolls off the tongue, But then after issue 20, then Man-Thing gets his own series, and the story literally picks up into that. So, but this is the first appearance of Howard the Duck. This is from 1973. This is a Gil Kane cover, which, I mean, don't know who this guy is. You know, and his name's like Korek or something like that, something bizarre. I mean, they had these disposable villains in Man-Thing, you know, in the early days that you've never heard of again. And he's from another dimension, and he actually he gets transported to Earth through a peanut butter jar, and somehow Howard the Duck gets like sucked along with him and appears in our reality too. Don't try to make sense out of it. Just go with it, okay? It's like a bad acid trip. You know, just go with it, man. Okay? Don't try to make a lot of sense out of that. But yeah, just a goofy, fun story. And yeah, these things can actually go for quite a bit in good condition, a higher grade. Because yeah, it's the first appearance of Howard the Duck. I mean, who can't remember that classic George Lucas hit movie, you know, Howard the Duck with Leah Thompson? I mean, wow, man. What a classic, you know, a true gem. But yeah, I think that's really the driving force behind the value of this book and the character. But I snagged this for $100, and you might think, oh my God, Howard the Duck, $100. Actually, that's a bargain. I got this for a good deal, and this was one of my finds at the same one-day show I went to, and they only had like 3 or 4 comic vendors there because it was mostly like a toy convention. But yeah, those guys had some just real gems there. I had a great time just going through like the 4 comic vendors that were there. Spent a lot of time doing that. And those little one-day shows, you never know. You know, go check them out. Might have a lot of fun, and find some great stuff like this. But yeah, Gil Kane cover. Steve Gerber is the writer, and Val Mayerick was the artwork. And he was known for like doing a lot of fantasy and horror stuff back in the day, like in the 70s, 80s, and he kept working through like the 90s, you know, as well. But yeah, just really fantastic artwork. The cover looks really nice. This thing's in really, really great condition. And I thought it was a hell of a bargain at $100. All right, my next book is Supervillain Classics. Galactus: The Origin. This is the one and only book they made in this series. Well, it's not even a series. It's a one-shot. Supervillain I really wish they would do more of these, you know? What a fun little book. You know, they got a really cool cover by Bob Layton. Looks really nice. You can find these for like $10, you know, in really good condition. And yeah, you can get like the higher graded ones, like a 9.8 is actually like $200, like around $200. So there's a little bit of value here to these, but you can find them. I mean, I see these things all the time. So if you see it, snag it. What it is, it's like a compilation of different stories. So it's like kind of like they kind of like piecemealed Galactus's origin story together from other stories, with some new stuff thrown in there. So you got some Stan Lee and Kirby stuff in here. You got Mark Grunwald and John Byrne, Vince Colletta and George Klein stuff in here. It's all different stories like mushed together to form Galactus's origin, but it's pretty comprehensive, and you're really left knowing his entire story, you know, of where he started, where he came from. And it's really cool. It's a cool little book. I snagged it. I had one years ago. I don't know what happened to it. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, it's a cheap little book. You can buy one for $10 in really good condition. And it's a fun little read. If you want to know the comic accurate lore of Galactus, here it is. A lot of fun. I highly recommend anybody picking one if you come across one. All right, my next book is Submariner #8. And you know, as a kid, I used to call him the Submariner. You know? Oh, poor dumb young Matt. But yes, Submariner #8. This is the Thing cover. This is pretty sought after cover. It's just really simple. You know, John Buscema, again, love John Buscema artwork. It's just the 2 characters on the cover. That's it. And he liked to do this cool move where he has like the characters obscuring part of the title, which I think is really cool. I really like when they do that. Just very simple, basic cover, but the black background, it makes it really pop, especially the orange of the Thing, and the colors are nice and bright. You got, you know, Namor, you know, there and they fight. Very simple cover. And yeah, this one is pretty highly sought after, just because it's the fight between the Thing and Namor. Yeah, I found this at the little one-day show I went to. This was $60, and I thought it was a hell of a bargain. My budget for this was 100, and I got it for 60. Which, yeah, I mean, it's a bargain. It's in really remarkably good condition for the age. I mean, this is from 1968, so this has got some age to it. And the whole, Submariner series went on for like 72 issues. So it had a good long run. And this is number 8. Not the most expensive book in the series, but definitely one of the nicest. But yeah, really cool book, really good find. And some of these, in the very fine range and higher, go for at least a minimum of like $200. And I would put this in like the very fine range for sure. So I snagged this at a great price. I don't know why it was priced so low. I checked it out thoroughly. The value stamps in there, everything is good to go. There was no the coupons cut out or anything like that. It's in really good condition. So yeah, this was a great find I made. Because I mean, sometimes I don't buy everything I see. Sometimes I pass up if it's out of my budget, which I recommend a lot of people do. Have a budget, stick to it. Don't get all pie-eyed when you see, oh my God, I've been looking for that, but it's only $20 more than my budget. No, wait. You will find these gems. You will. You'll find stuff at a good price. Sometimes you can work out a bundle deal like I did on my X-Men books. That's always a lot of fun too when you get stuff and it comes out to be like, $5 a book like I did with my X-Men books. That's really cool doing that. I love doing that stuff, finding these little gems. All right, my last book is going to be Strange Tales number 142. This is another book that's not really that expensive. I snagged this for $10. And it's not a really valuable book. Anyone can find a pretty decent copy anywhere between $10 and $20. Nothing, groundbreaking happens in this title. This is from 1966. And actually, it features, the two main villains are Mentallo and the Fixer. And this is actually the issue after their first appearance. They both of them first appear in 141, but that cover is so boring. It's a really boring cover, but this cover is just really jumps out at you. This really, really features Jack Kirby in his prime. Look at this dynamic artwork, all the funky machinery and weapons they have. There's Nick and, Dum Dum and other SHIELD agents. And these two are just blasting in with these really elaborately designed, jetpacks that they're wearing. Awesome, awesome cover, really showcasing Jack Kirby's talent. That's, this cover right here is why he's always going to be the king. I mean, we don't see anything this dynamic with this kind of level of detail. We don't see that anymore. This is just fantastic, fantastic stuff. And what it is, Mentallo, I love Mentallo. He's just like this really low-level psychic that SHIELD recruited, but then he turned on them and he actually joined up with the Fixer. And Mentallo's name kills me. It's Marvin Flum. And it turns out he was like a shoe salesman, and he discovered he had like these latent psychic powers, but they're really low level, but he teams up with the Fixer, Norbert Ebersol. Another great name. I love that. These names they're coming up with back in the 60s, of course, everybody knows the Fixer. He's like this mechanical genius. He can make weapons and, and like vehicles and things like that, like on the fly. This guy is like, he's not super powered or anything. He's just a genius, when it comes to making weapons and things like that. And so, yeah, these two team up to break into a SHIELD base using some kind of like underground drill tank thing, to break into SHIELD. And of course, they encounter Nick Fury and other agents of SHIELD. But yeah, what a dynamic, fantastic cover. I mean, I don't normally collect a lot of Strange Tales books, but this cover, I love it. I love it so much. I mean, just an incredible cover, very dynamic. I mean, all the bright colors and stuff. And, the book is not in the greatest condition in the world. It's got some damage along the back and the spine has some issues and things like that. But yeah, what a beautiful, beautiful, fantastic cover. I saw this with a $10 price tag on it. I'm like, absolutely. I don't have this already. I love this cover so much. I snagged it. And yeah, this is just like the epitome of Jack Kirby and his style back in the day and why he's the king. yeah, anybody could pick this up for a few bucks. It's easy to find. But yeah, that's going to make it for that's it for me today for my little comic book haul. Yeah, these are just some of the cooler books I've picked up, and maybe you'd enjoy them too. So maybe you should go out there and try to find some stuff. And hey, if you make some cool finds, some things you picked up, you can go to our Facebook group and let us know. Let us see your stuff, man. We love seeing other people's stuff. I mean, who doesn't love showing our stuff off? I mean, I know I do. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video today. So as Guy always says, keep collecting comics, keep reading comics, and that's it for today. So bye for now.